Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, and my friends, here we are with another character starter guide. This time talking about Geras in Mortal Kombat 1. Now, in these videos, I'll be covering all sorts of aspects of the characters, the moves you need to be looking out for, some example combos and strategies, and also some example combo synergies. And that said, before we get into it, let's talk about the pros and cons of Geras. So Geras is a threat. Let's just put it that way. Geras can do a lot of things in this game that other characters cannot. So for one, just out of the gate, dude hits like an absolute truck. His damage is among the highest in the game, and he has a lot of corner carry as well, so that helps put the enemy in the corner quicker and helps you win the game quicker, and just hits hard. That stuff's good. He is the holder of one of the very few command grabs in the game, does above average damage, does a little bit more than a base throw would, and the range on it specifically is very big. Where a regular grab could never hope to hit, Geras can easily grab people. So not many command grabs in the game, and he has debatably the best one. He has appreciable range on some of his basic attacks, maybe not the fastest in the game, but he's certainly no slouch in neutral. And he can do weird complex stuff that other characters kinda can't. Just in general, like the fact that he has his own baked-in super move mechanic. So for a lot of strengths, the one thing to know about Geras out of the gate is he is a lower health character. He has 950 health instead of the usual 1000 health, which does hurt a little bit. And depending on your Kameo choices, you could actually go down even further. So you gotta watch out that you don't make him too frail. And from full screen, while he certainly does have a projectile, it doesn't hit particularly hard. It's not particularly fast. And he's basically gonna lose to most characters in a fireball war. But still, in the end, the strengths absolutely outweigh the weaknesses. And especially for the range stuff, he has cameos to help him out there. And up close, cameos are just an extra bonus because he's very self-sufficient up front. Now let's talk his notable normals. So out of the gate, standing 1-2, it's essential, basically. Standing 1 specifically is his fastest attack that can lead to a combo. So you're just gonna need it on that base level alone. So if you're looking for just, basic hit confirms, all that kind of stuff, it's great for that. Also, it has an extended string, so 1-2 will go into 1-2-2, 1+3. And he'll start beating your head over the sands of time very literally. And that is actually an important mechanic, and we'll cover that later in the special move section. But the clock is not just for show. The sands of time are not for show. It'll lead to a potentially game-winning super move. Next up, back 1-2. So it is a 16 frame mid launcher, and that's about all needs to really be said. It's something you're going to have to use. It will lead to launches, it will lead to combos, and leading to combos is kind of the name of the game, right? This is something you want to do, and it has pretty appreciable range for what it is. You don't want to use it up close. It is a little too slow for just general up close use, but if you're looking for that button to catch people out of range, considering it's 16 frames, all in all, I say that's pretty alright. It is specifically -7 on block, which means against certain characters. That does unfortunately make it punishable, so you gotta watch out. It's very rare, but certain characters can punish it. But that's only a small handful of members of the cast. For pretty much everyone else, they just gotta deal with it. There's also 4-2-4, so this is a workhorse of a string. So 4-2 by itself is a 12 frame advancing high, so it has a good deal of range. It's not quite as long as back 1, but it's not meant to be. And from here, you have the 4-2-4 follow-up. The second hit is a mid, so if the first one gets neutral duck, the second one will connect. And combine that with one of his special moves, this is where a lot of your big boy damage lies. Gonna be a primary hit confirm for a lot of your combos, a lot of your setups. If you want big damage, 42% solo, no cameos is nothing to sneeze at. So 4-2-4, hell of a string. Also has a follow-up. So if it does get blocked, you have 4-2-4-2. As you can see here, by itself, it does launch. So if you're looking to combo from it, even though the angle's a little awkward, you still can. Although it's better just to hit confirm and make sure you only get the first 2 hits. So 4-2-4 is actually very safe on block. But basically the idea of 4-2-4-2 is the idea of if after they block this string, they're going to immediately try to, throw you, hit a button, try to, just do something. This is effectively a turn steal string, in that the move is slow enough that it'll allow them to stick out that extra button and then hit them for trying to hit a button back. So it's gimmicky, It's not safe on block, that last hit of the string, right? But if you know for a fact they're going to try to hit a button, this basically will hit them out of it, and you can go from there. Now, forward 4-4 is amazing. So it is a 14 frame low, so that does have to be crouch block. There ain't no neutral ducking this guy. And it is a launcher, and it's a big launcher. And just like so many other things, Geras is a very hard hitter, and it leads to very, very big damage. It would almost unequivocally just be his single best move if it wasn't for one pesky little detail, in that it is absolute death on block. It's negative 16, even though there is a little bit of pushback, pretty much every character in the game can punish that. So you do have to beware. Thankfully, as we'll go over in cameos later, there is a bunch of cameos that can make it completely safe. So if it can make it completely safe, that means you can go for it and spam it quite a bit. And finally, for notable normals, back 4. So back 4 is your sweep. Every character in the game has a sweep. Geras is, it's certainly not best in class. It isn't. But what it is something that just gives him range to contest over a distance. At ranges where back 1 will whiff, the sweep will connect. So it's just a good poke tool. Sweeps always do 7%, so it does hurt to get hit by it. People are especially inattentive. They will get hit by a couple times, and that damage will add up. Just because it's not one of the best sweeps in the game doesn't mean it's still not very, very useful. Now, let's go into the special moves. This is what makes Geras just Geras, as he's very cool with a lot of how he works, as a lot of his moves manipulate time. So the first move is Time Stop, and he'll basically stop time and clock you in the head, right? So very easy, very trivial to go into just about any string. If you hold forward or back, it will determine which side you lie on, so positioning is great. But the real name of the game here is the enhanced version, one that takes meter, as it simply just makes the enemy stop in time, right? So no matter what the enemy is doing, no matter where they are, even in awkward things like in the middle of the air, simply they're stopped and you can freely do whatever you want to do. Now, one thing to note, this is very important for combos, all that kind of stuff. The enhanced version, whatever the last move you hit them with, will keep all the momentum. So say I hit Li Mei here, an uppercut and a jab. So her hit reaction is effectively the exact same as jab, right? But now if I hit her, jab, uppercut, and then she launches like she gets launched with an uppercut. So whatever the last move you hit the enemy with before the time stop breaks is super critical for combos, as they'll go in whatever direction that move does. So sometimes you want that launcher for sure, right? Get combos, all that stuff, that's great. Sometimes you can be a little tricky about how you do it and force the enemy to restand and say go for a grab. So whatever you want to do, the options are there. It's as inventive as you want to be, or it's as simple as you want to be. But time stop is one of the defining features of this character. Next up, we have the history lesson. This is the command grab. So it's quarter circle forward 2 or quarter circle back 2. You can choose which way you want to throw the enemy, which is great. It does indeed cover a lot of the screen, so it'll help you just corner the enemy that much quicker. And Geras' corner game's pretty alright, so that's great. Now, it is a high, so if they duck it, then they'll get around it just fine. That includes, say, spamming down 1, all that kind of stuff, right? So it does have that inherent weakness, just to be fair. Also, this move cannot be enhanced. What you see is what you get, but there is a special detail about it. So when you're in the corner, and it could be in the corner here directly, or you could be the one cornering the enemy, doesn't matter which. But if you're in the corner and you throw them in the corner, well then, you know, it's the same as it's ever been. But if you throw them out of the corner, it becomes a new move and a much more damaging move, doing 19% damage instead of 12%. So if you're in the situation where you have the enemy cornered and it's potentially, you know, game over time, take almost 20% damage grab. Sure, you'll lose the corner, but if you win the round, that's definitely well worth it. Now, here's one of his most interesting moves and very unique even throughout fighting game history. So this is Redo. So back forward 3, and you notice his skin's all sparkly, right? And then what happened there? So basically he creates a clone of himself, and the clone can still attack, can still do all the things you want to do, and after a fixed amount of time, it will return to the starting point. So you can uppercut, you can grab people, like whatever you want to do, it is definitely very doable. So what are the weaknesses of this move considering its relative strength? Well, one, it does have over a full second of startup, so the enemy's not going to just let you do that, right? And if you're going to burn a whole second to start up, there's also the clock move, which we'll talk about in a little bit here, which has potentially more long-lasting benefits. And also just a general duration. So in the pre-release version of this game, it actually lasted quite a bit longer. At this version, though, you're only out for a few seconds before you have to return back to your starting point. So while you are effectively invulnerable, you can't get too much done either. So it's very situational, although very cool. Now it does have an enhanced version, and this takes 2 meters, and you might notice that giant clock. So here's how it works. Whatever inputs you put in during the clock, that's what it'll do. It'll mimic your inputs. So I did jab and the uppercut. So say this time I'll do forward 4-4. And sure enough, mimics the move exactly, right? So while he's doing this, I could be jumping, I could be doing all sorts of other things. It's very expensive, but you get to basically have a double of yourself. There is a few rules. The clone cannot jump specifically, and also it cannot do special moves. So only you can jump and do special moves. But still, having a dummy holding the enemy in place, even if it's expensive on the meter, is certainly very unique in this game. So now let's talk the countdown. So countdown puts a big clock above your head and literally nothing else. Because the clocks matter in this game. There's actually several moves that give you the clock status, like say the string here, 1, 2, 2, and throw, it gives you the clock as well. And the idea is through any means necessary, however you do it, including this move, once you build the 3 clocks, you get a super move. So to note, the enhanced version of this move here also just gives you 3 clocks right away. But that is the benefit here. Once you build 3 clocks, no matter how you do it, once 3 clocks appear on the screen, you get the super move, which is called Inevitable. So Inevitable is basically the EX time stop, except it's completely for free and it's anywhere on screen very fast. So if you're in that position where you're in, people throwing fireballs at you, you can literally do this, and if it connects, the fireball will not hit you. You'll just kind of teleport to the other side and you get all the hits in you want. Also, because it's very handy, you can also choose which side you want to land on, either same side or opposite side, whatever works for you. It's just simply hold back or don't. Also, if you're just looking for like unfairly large damage combos, adding the super to whatever string you're doing is gonna be a very, very good way to do it. Because, 52% for 1 bar is not bad. So hey, having a super move's cool and all, but what if we enhance it? Well, now we get our second super move. And basically, Geras rewinds time. So all that damage I just took, nah, I'm out of there. I'll just rewind to where I was before I got hit and regain all my health. By the way, you can do this when you're falling down from being hit. Like, I didn't even touch the ground from Li Mei's bazooka knee, and I escaped out and regained all my health. So say that Geras gets to break a lot of the rules of the game, is very generous, I guess. This guy is absolutely bonkers. This is why he has less health than usual. So the hits keep coming. Next we have Denial, down back 4. So down back 4, this is mostly combo fodder. The enhanced version is his armored reversal. Now, unlike many other armored reversals, he stands perfectly still. So to be frank, in a lot of situations where certain people could punish certain moves or gaps or whatever, Geras cannot. That is one of the downsides of the character. It's not awful, but it's just much more limited compared to what a lot of the other characters in the game have. But then again, you have to have weaknesses somewhere because Geras is pretty much mostly upside. So, good for combos. As a reversal, it's serviceable, not great, but you gotta have a weakness somewhere. And final special move is the Sandstorm. So this is a mid-hitting projectile, so no neutral ducking it. And you can control the distance. It can be medium, it can be close, and it can be far. Now, one of the things about it is, depending on where the move connects, that is where it will launch the enemy. So if it hits dead up, it'll pretty much just launch them straight up. But say you can hit just on the other end of it, just a little further out than usual. Notice how it launches towards us. And this is very important for his combo structure, as some of the key combos rely on this, that we're getting the enemy bounced back to us for free. Now, as far as Fireball Wars go, this is not one of the better things in the game. It is lower damage, there's a decent amount of recovery. You will use it because you have no other options, basically, but don't expect to win a Fireball War based off this guy. The enhanced version, by the way, Causes a delay, and you notice that clock there, so it does count towards your clock count. So it's basically just a big area denial tool. In a few seconds, there will be a tornado here. You better not be there. Say the enemy's in a position where they have to wake up into it, so they're naturally going to block, right? And naturally, if they're blocking, whoops, get grabbed. So here's a little bonus section, I guess you could say. This involves tick grabs, as Geras does have tick grabs, where if the opponent is blocking a string, you can still grab them in the middle of the string. So his tick grab specifically, if they just block all the way through, will be forward 1 into command grab, forward 1, 2 into command grab, 2, 1 into command grab. As with all tick grabs, it only works if they keep blocking. So if they know the grab is coming, they can just neutral duck and then avoid the grab. Just keep in mind. But tick grabs are command grabs are rare in this game, and tick grabs are rarer yet. So just keep that in mind, as it's a very powerful tool. So now let's talk combos. A big part of the combo structure is, can you land EX time stop in a combo? And if you can, you probably are going to do a lot of damage. But sometimes, you know, the basics matter, just like 1-2 time stop without burning the bar. But let me show you a couple examples here, ranging across various strings of example combos for Geras. So basic B&B combo to work with, lots of good corner carry. However, since on 1-2 specifically, you won't be getting too much damage, that'll definitely be the other strings, maybe go for, say, clock generation. So here's an example combo off stand 1-2, where you can build multiple clocks. So once again, not tons of damage, but now we built 2 clocks, so we're only 1 clock away from getting our super move. So the damage starter is not going to be the best anyways, so this is basically a point of, let's build for utility if we're not going to get too much damage anyways, especially because, you know, a lot of the other strings have the damage. Now let's look for some of our more damaging starters like forward 4-4. As you can see, pretty damaging and strong corner carry as well. Very good. It's a very good move, especially because it's a 14 frame low. Now let's take a look at back 1-2. So this is one of our mid starters and does cause a soft launch. So we'll give you 2 examples here, one without meter, one with meter. So without meter, 30% meterless, not bad at all. And once again, ending every combo with a throw gives us a lot of corner carry. And with bar, that's our example, almost 40%. Now you might ask, how come I didn't go for the back 1-2 like the first combo, instead went for 4-2-4? Due to the nature of combo scaling, and since back 1-2 counts as a launcher which increases damage scaling, for a longer combo involving the enhanced version, that actually means we'll do less damage overall. So just for example, it is certainly not a lot less, but it is just a little bit less. Instead of 39, it's 38, right? So just keep in mind when it comes to like juggle rules and all that kind of stuff, little things like that actually do matter. So explore the moveset. Now let's talk 4-2-4. This is the party starter. So 4-2-4 forces the enemy quite a good deal away from you, and perfect distance turns out, right, to go into our tornado and launch the enemy directly back into us. And then the damage is just very juicy, 42%. That is a lot. All things being equal, this is the one you're going to be aiming for quite a bit because the damage is just so high compared to this what you invest into it. Now to note, This one specifically does have some difficulty in the corner, as Sandstorm doesn't work the same, and if you do the close version, it doesn't juggle the same way. So this is where our string ender of 4242 comes in handy, as it does do a launch, and it is special cancelable. So let me give you an example corner combo. And there we go. You might notice it's about roughly what we get mid-screen, but since the mid-screen combo doesn't work in the corner, we got to take what we can get. And that is some example combos for Geras. Due to the nature of time stop and how it works, you can get incredibly freeform. These are some easier combos that are just high damage for you to wrap your mind around the character. But please explore. You might be surprised in what you find out. Now, let's talk some Kameo synergies. I'll take Frost for the first one here, and one of the reasons I like Frost, and it's very basic, but it's also important. So forward 4-4 is one of his best strings, period, and leads to a full combo on hit. It's great. There's nothing not to love about it. But as mentioned earlier in the video, it's death on block. Like, pretty much the entire cast can very easily get a punish on you if you have that move get block. But thanks to the power of the Ice Crash here in Frost, if it gets blocked, however, with Frost and the Ice Crash, it makes it completely safe on block. There is no gap, there's nothing they can possibly do about it. Also, it creates a good amount of space between two characters, and also leaves you advantage on block slightly at this distance. Now to note, pretty much every assist that is advantage on block can do this. Motaro is another example, Kung Lao, but I do like that it's just basically a good clean reset, specifically with Frost with the pushback, and therefore if you went for the low, you got blocked, sucks, sure, but it basically minimizes the risk to you as there is no risk. Another thing about Frost is her full screen low freeze. So as we talked about earlier, Geras, Sandstorm is good for combos, it's good for the occasional poke, but it is certainly not something that will win you a zoning war. It'll be a losing battle in the end, right? So therefore, bait them into it. All you gotta do is call Frost. If you get hit with a projectile and they get hit with a freeze, you are absolutely winning that exchange. Extra scary if you have your super in stock, and then all of a sudden that full screen freeze, even if you get hit and get traded with, is going to turn to an extra nasty combo. And also, it's admittedly a little gimmicky, but if you're looking some damage in and you're not burning some bar, you can cancel some combos early, just call the Frost in with the Ice Ball. It'll eliminate a lot of that active frames as they're falling to the ground, right? And then you can pressure directly after the fact. So Frost is interesting, if only for two reasons. It makes one of his best moves airtight and safe if it gets blocked, thanks to the Ice Crash, and it gives him more full screen presence with daring you to kind of try to do something against him, as if you get frozen, you're probably gonna lose out in the exchange. Now, Motaro is one of the most synergistic cameos you can pick for Geras, although there is one warning out of the gate. Geras is already a low health character, and Motaro gives you negative health as a cameo, therefore your health will be at 900. Which is among the lowest you can be in the game, so keep that in mind. But there is the strengths. One, just like Frost, as we mentioned here, makes his 4-4-4 completely safe, as his tail stab spin thing, like the shot he does from his tail is always advantage on block. Unlike Frost, it does leave you a bit closer, so if you want to use those advantage frames to do like a back one or something after the fact, if you get blocked, that's certainly an option you can go for. And once again, his ranged options are fairly poor. So Reflect is something if you're in that Fireball War, and Teleport is something if you want to be on the other side. But very uniquely for Geras and the Teleport is he can effectively get enhanced EX time stop for free due to it. So all you have to do is do time stop, right? And then call Teleport before the hit comes in, and then it's effectively enhanced version out of the gate. I can go 1, 2. Oh, let's use our buddy Motaro and keep the combo going. And all of a sudden, you know, no meter spent. We can get 25% or more if we want to optimize the routes. So basically, Motaro with his Teleport lets you cheat the version of Time Stop, the non-EX version, into effectively the EX version for free. So it saves you meter. Obviously, you're not getting tons of damage, even with the enhanced combo, so, you know, 25% plus. But still, it's very interesting. And it's something other characters other than Kung Lao, whose Teleport isn't as good in that same way, it offers you something that you can't really get anywhere else. And of course, turret pressure is good for anybody. Like, just 3 fireballs coming your way. You have your overhead forward 3, you have your lows, you have your low starter, right? There's all sorts of imaginative ways you can come up with offense with turret. But the main thing is, once again here, for Geras, he already has so many good options up front other than the range, but Motaro helps cover the range, helps make his one of his dominant moves completely safe on block, and also gives you the gimmicks. So I think Motaro is very interesting as a cameo pick. Now, Sektor is very interesting for pressure. So one thing, admittedly, at a range, he gives you something else to work with, I guess, besides just your tornado. Other than the fact that if your timing's quite quick, you can barely combo into it and get about 10% damage. So it's something, but this is not the main event. Let's show you the main events here. 1, grab. You're going to end most of your combos with grab. If you grab, then immediately call Sektor, the missile will land on their head, basically the frames they wake up. You can delay it a little bit, you can do it right away, whatever you want to do. As you can see, there's no escaping that. So call him as soon as you do the grab. They have to submit to the missile, or delay it just a little bit. Make them sweat it out, right? Is it coming, is it not, right? Just that and that alone is huge. Not the least of which, missile counts as a combo starter. So if they get hit by that missile, it's another full combo for you. And given the damage Geras puts out, that's probably death, right? So every time you end a combo, they gotta respect the rocket landing right on their head. That is huge. Also, Flamethrower gives you options to change things up just a little bit from how you usually will do it. Why? So this forces the enemy to restand versus the missile, right? And leaves us at substantial frame advantage. So admittedly, our combo will do slightly less damage. I mean slightly less damage than it would otherwise, right? But the restand and the pressure you can get from it here, we still get 40% instead of 42. But yeah, we can just dash up and they have to deal with whatever we're going to do next. We're going to hit buttons or we're going to go for a grab again, right? So regardless, basically, Sektor is your friend for combos, not for setting up your combos, but ending your combos. Either on your grab, it makes your grab so much scarier because we got a missile coming in. Is it instant? Is it a little delayed? It's really whenever you press the button, how they have to deal with it. Or will we end our combo with a flamethrower, get the restand, they don't get the knockdown, they don't have all the options associated with the knockdown, and we just pressure, pressure, pressure. So it's not imaginative, perhaps. It's more of like a sledgehammer approach to things, but Geras in a lot of ways is a sledgehammer kind of character. So for that and those reasons, I do like Sektor quite a bit. And that is the video for Geras. Geras is one of the most inventive characters ever in fighting game history. Just straight up. Just all the things he can do, the multitude of options he has available to him are very fun. And hopefully this video guide, this starter guide for you, has helped you understand the character and the things you might want to look forward to. And that said, now we're at the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Mortal Kombat.
This is the love making.